next level. Together, they bring you the tools and techniques that bring balance and serenity to your life. For nearly 30 years as a syndicated talk show host and metaphysical clinician, Dr. Linda has helped thousands of people worldwide solve problems on the air and in person with her insights and solutions. So pull up a chair, turn it up, and get ready for a visit with the one and only Dr. Linda. And now, live from Los Angeles, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Linda Salvin.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Recovery Wednesday with my co-host, Candy Finnegan. This is the show where we learn that everybody's healing from something. Let's bring Candy on and say hello and see how her week's going.
Hi.
Hey there.
How are you?
Good. How are you? You're kind of muted. Are you okay with the volume? Can you hear her, Rebel? I think we're having a technical glitch.
No, I can hear her. We're good.
Okay. Maybe it's my headset. So today's topic is an interesting topic that Candy's going to discuss more than I am because it's really in her line of work. And it's called What is What is a sober companion and their role? So there's jobs for people to assist people who are in recovery throughout their daily lives. So Candy, what is a sober companion and how do they help?
I can't hear you.
You can't hear me. Uh-oh.
I can hear both of you.
You can hear both of us and I can't hear her and she can't hear me. That's really awkward. Well, let's just keep talking. You can't hear me? Sorry, folks. We may have to start this over and delete this. What do you think, Rebel? I don't know what's wrong. I'm not muted. She's not muted. Can you hear me now, Candy?
Dr. Linda, what you should do is keep talking about your the show, what's going to go on today, and maybe talk about a product while Candy, she'll be able to hear you and when she does hear you.
What to do?
Okay, well, I can hear her perfectly now. Now I hear you perfectly. Can you hear me? I'm going to talk about the sober companionship. I'm going to talk about this week or tomorrow, actually, on the Thursday show, you're going to see a replay of a show I did of a client of mine who lives in Cleveland, Ohio, and owns a sausage factory. She's third generation of the family who've been running the sausage factory, and there was this horrible stench coming from the factory in Cleveland. I visited last year and I interviewed her. Turned out that there was never anything wrong with the sausages that the community kept blaming her for. They found next door was a serial killer, and this guy was cutting up and burying the bodies in the backyard. So Cleveland had a problem about 10 years ago. So you're going to want to tune into that show and not miss it. It's called Sausages and Serial Killer. But right now, the sober companion is somebody who is paid to assist a person in their daily life, whether it's going to work or going out to eat or in their home or going shopping, and they accompany the person who's staying sober so that they don't waver into a bar or a drug scene where they may be tempted to drink and use once they have established their line of sobriety. The pay is really good, of course, but it's a huge commitment. People travel all over the world with some of the people who are getting sober and staying sober. I can hear you, but you can't hear me? Candy? Nope, she can't hear me. Don't know what happened. That's so bad. If you're Candy, we can hear you. Can hear Candy. Look at the private chat. If there's anybody in the chat or the audience and you want to pop up that you can hear us or me, please say hi and let us know. Once in a while, we do have technical glitches. As you know, it's internet. We all have them at our homes and offices because it's the connection. But anyway, somebody gets sober. Somebody has the money to afford. It's like 24-hour care almost. It's like with my father having assisted care 24 hours a day, even though he lives with his girlfriend, but he's 94 years old and he needs help standing up and getting to the walker or getting into the shower that the girlfriend can't do. And it's similar with the sober companion, but to make sure they don't drink and use. And sometimes once you come out of recovery or you're staying sober, there's a good year or two of stability of learning to live without drinking and using. It's a very different existence, and it takes time to feel comfortable in your own skin. It takes time to integrate and feel the connection to life. And a lot of times the sober companion is just that. It becomes that paid person who's your friend but has your best interest at heart, so that you may want to talk about what you're feeling, you may want to talk about where you want to go, but they're not going to go, thanks country, I'm glad you can hear the show. We'll get Candy back. It happens. The sober companion becomes your kind of like a seeing eye dog, takes you to safety and keeps you going. And it's a commitment for the person who's employed, because some people may just want their companion to stay at their home. A lot of people in the Hollywood community want them on the set or in their trailers or out to dinner or in at meetings, because a lot of times people in sobriety can't trust themselves. And that's a very normal feeling or fear because of the new lifestyle without hiding behind the drug or the booze. And especially if it was a severe addiction, it's a long process to recover. I don't know why Candy can't hear me. That's sad, because this is really her topic. We'll fix it. So if you have any questions about sober companionship, I'll do what I can to answer them. But I personally have met two people along my journey in 38 years in the sober community who have worked as sober companions, and they have to show up. If they don't spend the night there, they have to show up very early from when their patient or their buddy or their companion awakens all the way to when they go to sleep. Sometimes, like I said, it could be 24 hours a day because they have to take care of them and, gosh, help them if they decide to get up in the middle of the night and not just go to the bathroom, but go grab a joint or a glass of alcohol or a toot of Coke or whatever. These people who are really, really serious about sobriety, whether it's drugs, alcohol, cigarettes, people can pay others to assist them to stay honest and clean on the journey. The sober companion has of course, it's a big responsibility because that person is sober themselves. They have to be sober. They have to understand the process of getting sober. They have to understand the lifestyle of a sober person, which, I go to clubs and I'm around alcohol all the time. It doesn't bother me. I remember, I think my first New Year's Eve being sober and bringing in 1986, I was working some huge party and delivering all the alcohol. I was the waitress of this exclusive party. And it didn't bother me. And then I started thinking, well, maybe I do want to keep drinking. Maybe I should have just one. And then I realized what they kept saying is don't quit 5 minutes before the miracle. Well, I wanted to find out what that miracle was. Now, 38 years later, I know what the miracle is. You have to see what it is by doing it. And there are miracles beyond belief if you stop drinking and using. The sober companion helps that person that has a more difficult time grasping the ideology or the concept or the actual commitment, and needs help staying honest and staying on track. It's not easy. Nothing in changing behavior is easy. But the sober companion really helps that person 24 hours a day. They're on call. Like I said, they're on trains and planes and ships and sets and offices and restaurants, homes, whatever, that the person, the addicted person who's recovering, can't be left alone because they can't trust themselves, or if the hit or the idea just hits them that they can have just one. No, you can't have just one, because one leads to two. And there's an old saying that one's not enough. One's too many and a million's not enough. So if it's like that first bite, like we were talking in another show about sugar. If you stay away from the sugar, you're fine. You have that one bite, you're off and running again. And it can be a 1 or 2 day binge. It can be months before you're off the sugar again. Same thing with alcohol. Same thing with drugs. Same thing with cigarettes. Anything that's addictive is not easy to just cut and dry and detox or eliminate from your diet or from your lifestyle. It's hard. It's hard. It's painful. Why is it painful? Because of the emotions that you deal with, that the alcohol or the drugs or the cigarettes or the food or the gambling or the porn or whatever the person was involved in has taken its toll, and the emotions, the guilt, the fears, the anxieties, the resentments, all of the inside emotions start to arise when, oh, better go get something to drink, push it down so I don't feel it. Eat something so I don't have to deal with it. Smoke something so I'm behind the smoke screen of it. But inside you're really just suppressing emotion. So the sober companion helps that person not do that. I'll take me as an example. I didn't need a sober companion, but say I was having a very difficult time with recovery, and I don't trust myself to not smoke dope or hash or drop acid or take amphetamines or have some Kahlua or whatever my thing was in the day, right? And yet that person, I'd say, you know what, Joe, I really feel like having blah, blah, blah. Or I'd say, Candy, you know what, I really feel like, and then they talk me out of it or explain why and steer me into the right direction of, just for right now, you don't need that, Linda. Or right now, you don't need that, Tony, or whoever's going through their recovery. So we act like little support systems for one another. But again, the sober companion is that person who is paid. Hi, can you hear me now?
Yep.
There you are. So I've just been explaining, things happen. I've just been explaining to the audience that a sober companion is a sober person who's been through recovery, who has been paid to assist that person that may not trust themselves, whether it's drugs, alcohol, smoking. They sometimes will be up at 6 a.m, or they'll go on trains and planes and ships. And if they're in the Hollywood community, they're on the set, they have to be at their office or whatever to help encourage that person. Like you just had an example before you came on, like if it was me and I'd say, if Candy was my support, my sober companion, say, you know what, Candy, I really think I want to get some Kahlua or I want to get some amphetamines. And you'd be the one to talk me out of it or explain something that I don't want or ask what I'm feeling, because we're always suppressing feelings. So that person's on my side to keep me focused. Why don't you take it from here now that you're back? Welcome back, Candy Finnegan.
No, I didn't like being gone. Well, I think it's very overplayed. At least
What
in
is?
my business. It can run anywhere from $500 to $1,200 a day. That's close to $8,000 a week. And I feel that, and by the way, this is not a sponsor. This person should not work the steps with you. You need to have your own support group. And if you lived alone and you were coming back and had no support in a small town or even in a large town, I think having a sober companion come back with you and get you acclimated into support and your therapist and back in life. If anybody gets violent,
I'll ask her in a moment, Mickey.
you call the police. That's what you do. Nobody puts up with violence. I know a lot of people have used when they've had a sober companion. And
so that's called relapse, right? Because they were sober.
But, if you had a sober companion with you and you relapsed, people say, do you stick with them? And if the person is serious, absolutely. But nobody should relapse when you're with them, because you should be with them other than maybe going to the bathroom. You're with them every waking minute.
That's what I was explaining.
You have a case manager who you report back to usually once a day or twice a day, morning and night.
Does the companion report, or does the sober person?
Usually you have a licensed person who's case managing you. if it's a legit thing, and who in any emergency should be contacted, and so they can help you guide it. Violence, it doesn't matter. Threatening to kill themselves, it doesn't matter. You call the police. Because, what it takes to be a sober companion.
Yeah, somebody just asked about training.
Yeah, it used to just take you needed to be sober, but not anymore. You've got to know CPR. You have to, you should have KDAC, which is a certification for alcohol and drugs. You could be a psychotherapist, but not licensed. I mean, you could have a master's in psychology. I have a master's in counseling. But you can't be licensed by the state because you can't go in anybody's home. How far into sobriety is a sober companion induced? Right in the very beginning.
So, okay, stop right there. So if somebody's brand new in sobriety, and so that sober companion, if that person getting sober requests help from a sober companion, they can start right at the beginning or into their
treatment center suggests that they not go home alone.
Right. That's kind of what I was saying, that it kind of helps you adjust, because as we know, detoxing from drugs and alcohol, cigarettes, food, porn, whatever we're going through, especially addiction to alcohol and drugs, where it's painful. I mean, literally painful, because you go through withdrawals. You're going to want somebody to help you stay sober when we're fragile the most, because the emotions are coming up. So does this help there?
If you live alone, then you having a sober companion fly out to your treatment center and fly home with you, so you can clean your house out, get rid of all the booze and drugs. If it was mine, I would recommend that the sober companion go in the house before and clean it out and go through all the drawers and everything, because drug addicts hide stuff, and clean it out, and then meet them at the airport and bring them back home. That's what I usually do when I incorporate that. I usually have them for a month, and that's about it for me.
So a sober companion would last about a month to get that person acclimated, or do some have them longer?
Somebody said one for 3 years.
Wow. Okay.
And a lot of mentally unstable people that shouldn't be institutionalized, they have like a psychiatric sober companion, and who make sure they take their meds and they're regulated, and you just ask how to know what to throw out. Oh,
that's most of the drugs and alcohol.
Anything in little teeny white plastic sacks, and things that are rolled up in papers and pipes, and where they hide them. Oh, please don't even get me started. We'll be here. I hid my wine in the back of the toilet tank, so start there. Socks, tampon boxes, shoes.
Pockets. I hid prescription amphetamines when I got a diet pill prescription. I think I was 17 from a doctor, and I hid them in the back of my drawer inside a snow glove underneath some clothes, thinking no one in my family in Southern California needs a snow glove. And the one night I was out playing music, believe it or not, I came home. My parents sat me down, brought my sisters out, and said, "Did you know your sister's a drug addict?" I said, "What are you talking about?" He shows the vial of pills he found hidden in a snow glove in the back of a drawer, because my sister was going on a snow trip.
Bad timing.
Yeah, but it's the same thing. You hide it so nobody that you think will never find it, but they still find it. Did anybody ever find your bottles in the tank, Candy?
My mother-in-law. She called the plumber because she thought there was something wrong with the toilet wooden flush.
Oh no!
Because I kept taking the tank thing off, But it was cool. It was chilled. Come on. That's great. But then I found out I wasn't the only one that who had done it, and I was.
It's like people hiding food in pillowcases or under the
mattress. Food is a big thing.
To hide the food and the wrappers, especially nighttime eaters, and then you got the alcohol bottles, which are harder to hide because of their shape and everything. Unless you get
not anymore. We didn't have water bottles in the old days. Now they put them in what you're drinking out of.
Yeah, it's true. The
Yeah.
water bottles
Well, I had been known to do a Slurpee.
with alcohol.
Yeah, suck that thing
Well, a
full of
lot of
vodka.
kids in high school do that. Yeah,
Yeah,
they
yeah.
bring their water
Well,
bottles.
they put it in their water bottle. And, I mean, I was just on campus last week, and all these kids have water bottles. How do you know what's in them? Unless you smell them.
Or their breath.
Well, that's what I mean. You can smell the alcohol.
You can smell. Well, you can't smell vodka so much in the water bottle.
Oh, yeah.
Can you? And what's usually more like the rum and the gins, but isn't vodka the least?
We always heard that, but you kind of smell like you've just been dry cleaned. So no, it smells. Trust me.
What was the last question we just had pop up? No, you don't.
Oh no, you do not want to be related to this sober companion. Never, 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 or married to him.
No, there's too much enabling, too much interaction. This is an independent person that you hire as an employee to take care of you, guide you, and help you stay sober.
I've known them that they cooked and got them on a nutritional thing. I mean, the best one I ever knew was a woman named Lori, and she was fabulous. And she would go to treatment, pick you up, bring you home. And most of the people that she brought home, she stayed, and hopefully they had a guest room. And she would make them stay in the guest room with her, no matter whether they were married or not, because it's too easy to get away with it. And they drug test you every 2 days randomly. And they just try to keep you honest, and they help you go to 12-step meetings and find the meetings that you like, so you can find a sponsor. They don't find a sponsor for you. And
why don't you explain what a sponsor is to people that are listening? Because not everybody knows what a sponsor means.
A sponsor is someone that you confide in that has more time than you, and usually has hopefully worked the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. And they go to certain meetings, and you meet them, and then you meet them in meetings. And what kind of responsibilities go with being a sober companion? A lot. You got to make sure they eat. You got to make sure they bathe. You got to make sure they go to meetings. They go to their therapist.
They don't use and drink.
Yeah, and and you got to keep them busy. And I always recommend starting to have them go to a gym and work out, because that's really important to get your dopamine and serotonin back up. Just get them regulated back into life, because they haven't been living the life they should have.
But the beautiful thing is you can recapture the life. It does come back through being sober and getting into the state of sobriety. Sobriety is living once you're sober and putting it all together. And then there's a new joy and freedom and happiness. It's just getting through the obstacles and the downs. And, some people really hit a bottom and see no hope. They're like stuck in that rabbit hole, and they can't get out of bed, or they see no future. They're suicidal in thought, or they're ready to give up. And then all of a sudden there's that little mustard seed of hope, and faith starts and they start to grow. And that's the beauty, that we get to watch people come in destroyed. Candy ran into somebody she knew many years ago. Just the other night, we were out, and she was we were watching her son perform, and a girl popped up that she had known years ago that is no longer sober. And it's hard to see the change in somebody. The light goes up.
But we don't judge or have opinions.
No, you just offer help if they want it.
She's very happy, and she's changed her life. It's just extremely changed her life.
If you can function and not hurt yourself and hurt others, do what you want. There's no rule.
She knows where to go if she gets in trouble. That's what I always figure out. And, she contacted my son and told him, how wonderful it was and how inspirational that she'd run into us.
Oh, that's great. I didn't hear that part, I don't think. Yeah. That's great. Yeah.
Really nice.
Let's just teach your son real quick. He's become quite the famous musician. It was a fabulous show. Should be very proud.
He's getting there.
Very proud.
So I think sober companions are misused a great deal. Because there are a lot of them that I think break all the rules, my rules, not the world's rules, but that start doing steps with them and think that they're their sponsor and I just don't think that they belong together. I think you need two separate people because the sober companion's going to go, and so you don't want your sponsor to go. Do addicts change deck chairs on the Titanic? Absolutely. A lot of women who are into stimulants get eating disorders because they gain weight once they're not doing drugs anymore, and they become very preoccupied with gaining weight and food.
Yep. Well,
a lot of women go shopping to fix the outside instead of the inside.
Let's talk about that for a moment. We're always like, whether the cars, the clothes, the shoes, the house, the extravagant living, but you can still go home and be empty and lonely on the inside, to be a shell, even though you want the world to think and look at you in adulation, like, oh my God, they've got it together. She's so beautiful, or the facelift, or the clothing, and the coiffure, and everything. And then
listen, plastic surgery is a real affliction.
That's another addiction. Some people keep going back for more and more and more, and nip and tuck to the point you don't even recognize them.
Yep.
I knew a girl, and I've talked to you about this, who I actually sponsored in the program many years ago, who would create an illness or a disease to go in the hospital, to have surgery, or find something to have an operation on because she wanted the drugs. She wanted to be put on.
Well, that's actually Munchausen's, where you make yourself sick. Psychologically, you manifest yourself into being sick.
And she got her drugs.
Now we got to go to a psychiatrist. Yes, we do.
And let's talk about body dysmorphia and eating disorders for a moment. It's still part of addiction. It's still part of recovery. It's still part of what goes on. So, like in my case, I was put on diet pills when I was 13, got very thin, stayed thin for a long time. And then I started into the sugar, I guess, in college, and the weight came back, and then I lost it in grad school. So it's always been an up and down thing. But when I totally went clean, I mean, totally clean, when I got a letter from a doctor that he was retiring, not knowing I was really addicted at 24 or whatever it was, went cold turkey, and I gained like 50 pounds. My metabolism, everything shifted, because you go crazy because the chemicals in our body suppress certain parts of our metabolism, the thinking, the mind, and like alcohol, like cocaine, like pot, everything's going to affect us. And you're right that, I can see myself differently than you see me. And I still fight with it. And Candy knows what I deal with body dysmorphia. I've been 40 pounds thinner than I am, and I've been 40 pounds heavier than I am. So it's always like the magic mirrors. You don't know where you are, and it's a hard concept to really learn. But there's people out there that will use surgery to fix the body and still be miserable because they haven't done the inside work.
It's a quick fix.
It's a quick fix. Remember, I told you I had a client many years ago who had a full body makeover, and he was in the recovery hotel or whatever for about 30 days. He had his face, his chest, his legs, his stomach, everything. And I said, it's not going to make you feel better. And he came to my house, and he looked gorgeous. And he said, I am in so much depression. I'm upset. I said, why? He goes, because I don't feel good. I said, I told you it's not going to fix you. So people,
all of that work doesn't fix your head.
No, we have to fix the inside, how we feel, the resentments, the anger, the fear, the guilt, the shame, the whatever we're feeling, the past. We get hung up on the past. Coulda, woulda, shoulda. He said this, I did that, she went this way. I mean, we all have it. So part of growth that Candy and I help you with is learning to integrate and accept you, the essence, the inside.
Well, I think that the statistics are that eating disorders have about a 3 year to be able to really conjure it up. It's a long recovery.
It is a very long recovery. Let's go back to this
We don't have
question
to
here.
do drugs and alcohol, but we have to eat. Now, what is this?
I'm the sober one. My husband drinks 2 times 32 ounces. He will not go to AA. We have 1-year-old twins. We come in second. What should I do? That's Donna. She can't-
Donna, you
It's
either
more-
have to do an intervention on him to get him to pay attention, or you're going to have to take some drastic consequences if he chooses to drink. Shouldn't be driving with the twins. Shouldn't leave him alone with the twins. You know, there is truly a consequence for him not being a good father. And drinking, if you think he's alcoholic, there are people who are heavy drinkers, and if they were shoved up against the wall, they'd quit. You know, and if it isn't a problem for him, then it won't be a problem for him to quit. That's the line right there.
That's a great statement, because a lot of people, it's like with the food or the alcohol or the drugs or the cigarettes. Well, I can stop. I can stop. Well, then why don't you stop? Well, not today. I'm not ready. I can stop. I can quit. I can quit.
Yeah, you have to be sober and have, you know, at least 5 years of sobriety, and so you can take. Yeah,
You have to have a sponsor that's got more time.
Oh
of
yeah,
sobriety.
sponsor has to be a sober person. They're taking you through the 12 steps of a program, a support group, and yeah, they belong to the same support group that you do.
And they've had the same experience of growth, spirituality, family issues, whatever. They've done the work. It's called the work.
Our neighbor. No.
Yep. A sponsor has to sponsor you through experience, strength, and hope.
Because they're sober.
They understand.
Yeah. It's not a caregiver. It is a sober companion.
It's work. It's a different type of work.
Oh, and I have to tell you something. Many years ago,
No, it's not really a crutch. It's not a crutch.
no, it's a companion. It's so you're not alone. So your head doesn't get the best of you. Many years ago, I was asked by I guess it was a family friend, much more so with my husband than me, if I would go on the road with his daughter, who was going out with a big kind of tour, Lilith Fair, and would I just go out and do California up to Vancouver, and then this other woman would come. I mean, I have to tell you, I thought I was going to shoot this kid.
I think I remember you doing that. It's
Oh,
what was
God.
that, like in the 90s?
Yeah, 98.
I kind of remembered that. Okay.
Yeah. And she ended up being a rather big star, but I thought I was going to kill her. She'd snap her fingers and tell me to pack her bag, and I'd tell her I was going to pack mine. It was just awful. I mean, she didn't use, and she had primary eating disorder. So I had to sleep in the same room with her. And then, you know, not really sleep, because in the middle of the night, I'd hear her, you know, go find sneak food.
Which is what I was explaining before you got back on, that in the middle of the night, the sober companion might have to intervene for the alcohol, the drugs, the food. You don't know what that person, if they're going to the bathroom and then all of a sudden take
And
a
then when
deep.
she'd go take a shower, I'd have to rip everything apart because she hid food. You know, what are those things called? Corn chips, corn things? They were round and they were really hard. They were something.
I know what you're talking about. They were like deep fried corn husks.
Yeah, corn kernels.
Corn. I used to eat those. They're real salty. Now I can't remember what they're called right off there because I'm thinking.
But they were deep fried corn kernels.
Yeah, corn.
They were blown up right before they popped.
Kernel corn. That's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, and she hid like, I don't know, 10 or 12 things of that. But you can't eat those quietly. Here I am. She's, I just, I thought, are you dumb? Please. I was born at night, but not last night. So give all those to me. That's all I did was throw food away. So, yeah, and it isn't funny. It's tragic when you're so obsessed with that. And she was, by the way, paper thin.
Well, a lot of people, I should say, not just them, men and women, even if they have an eating disorder, some people are taking laxatives, others are throwing up, others somehow just can eat and eat and eat, and the metabolism keeps going. The word bulimic means ox hunger. So you can eat 20, 30, 40,000 calories and still not be full because of the addiction, and it's just a constant feeding.
And if you purge, if you're bulimic, you absolutely ruin the enamel on your teeth, and you usually lose your teeth or have to have them all capped. I mean, it's awful. I did all the eating disorder shows on intervention, and boy, I had some.
Talk about one or two of the worst cases you dealt with an eating disorder, dysfunctional, pain client.
One of the ones was somebody who weighed 320 pounds.
Corn nuts. They're called corn nuts.
Oh, corn nuts.
Corn nuts. I couldn't remember. I had to look it up. Sorry, folks. I mean, I've eaten 1,000 of them, but yeah, they're good. But yeah. They're loud.
They are salty. So she had a bypass. She didn't have a sleeve, but she had a bypass, and she was like 315 or 20 pounds.
Wow.
This doctor, who was not really authentic, he was a doctor, real one, but he never made her go to a psychiatrist. You can't have a fat head.
No, because you're still going to crave the food or whatever, even though you might be thin or the weight's falling off.
Well, body imaging wise, you're never going to get thin enough. And she lost 126 pounds in a year.
Wow.
And she kept thinking she was gaining weight, so she started purging. She's purging with this stomach bypass. And
see, that's the disease in action. Let the people understand.
Because of the pain, she got hooked on Vicodin, and that's what I intervened on, was the Vicodin.
Explain, though, it's still part of the disease of the eating disorder, compulsive eating, that she was never thin enough or the weight was coming back, so the purging, it's all part of this addiction.
I have seen you over the years, certainly think that you are a lot heavier and a lot worse shape than you are.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's a heroin addict that you think, oh, I'm a casual heroin addict. I'll just do this on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. But I think psychologically, eating disorders are really, a lot of times they're a symptom of what's gone on in your childhood, abuse, sexual abuse. At one point when I was going to school,
just for the record, I was not sexually abused, but I was emotionally and physically abused.
But there was a thing, if you were 80 pounds overweight, that there was a 60% chance you had been sexually abused between the ages of 5 and 9. And, I don't know where in the world they got these statistics.
I don't know. I've never heard that, but okay.
A lot of it was true.
It's hard to say, Misty. Everybody's different. No, surgery is not a quick
fix. No, surgery was not a quick fix. But she never had the psychological help that she needed. We got her off Vicodin. That wasn't so hard.
And Vicodin also causes hearing loss. Remember?
We know somebody who.
Yes, we do.
Well, actually, the first person I ever heard of was about 8 years ago, and it was Rush Limbaugh.
When he's now passed away, but that's true. He was one of the biggest.
Because he was having his maid go to Mexico and get him and all that.
He was addicted to Vicodin, yeah, and he lost his hearing.
He got a cochlear implant, which are. You kind of have to have a lot of money and know somebody. So,
which he did.
Mm-hmm. this other person that we know is not able to repair theirs. It's all nerves. You can't really.
No, you can't turn it back. That you can't heal. You can't heal the loss of hearing. And the Vicodin, which a lot of people don't know.
Yeah, musicians have them.
Yeah.
And that's from what they call sound evasion. So where it's just that from a PA system or an amp. So
Well, listen to look at what they've been exposed to all their life at the loud.
you know who else has real hearing loss, which I thought was fascinating? Truck drivers.
I can see that because of the sound of the engine.
Always their left ear when they're driving, the left ear when their windows rolled up, the pressure.
Wow, I never heard that before.
Yeah,
makes total
they usually
sense.
go. I went to the House Institute, and which is the finest hearing institute here in LA, and they were talking about different jobs that had great hearing loss. You know, people who do jackhammers and stuff don't have hearing loss.
Right, you would think of all the noise breaking cement and the vibration and everything.
They have usually bone problems, but they always wear headphones. You know, they know how to prevent
talk show hosts I know about 4 that are now wearing hearing aids from being on the air, like with me, 30 plus years.
That's pressure when you have those cups over your ears.
Yep, 30 years. But my hearing's gone down.
Who are in the recording business.
Oh, I bet.
And they have to wear, headphones all the time.
All the vibration and all the hertz and all of the loud
now
amps.
They have what they call inner ear. That everybody.
Well, even the drummers must have a larger incidence of hearing loss than maybe a guitar player.
No.
Depending, you don't think?
Because a drummer, sound doesn't carry up, it carries out. So when you're drumming, the audience hears it, but you don't hear it.
The drummer doesn't, but then the guitarist or the keyboard player, what about that?
The guitarist, it's not the guitar, it's the amps.
Yes, the amp. So the music or the sound is coming out to the audience, but while they're playing.
Everybody has inner ears now, which they are custom made. They cost between $600 and $1,200, depending. And so you can hear yourself, and then the background music is, if you're a singer anyway, that's what I can relate to, is so you stay on tune. So you're not
so people understand, regardless of your profession, your volume, sound, even sound, being a musician is a form of addiction because there's that high. We get high playing music. We get high, but you don't have to drink and use doing music anymore. There's a lot of
listen, the people that do drink and use and do music are quite not that good, or they're dead.
No, yeah, well, you know a lot of them because you've been in the music industry for 50 years, and you've treated a lot of musicians and a lot of famous people, which we're not going to mention names, but Candy is quite involved with that crowd of people. And I've heard some of the stories of the miracles of who's gotten sober. They may be tone deaf now because of their hearing loss, or somebody that couldn't function or would fall off the stage or whatever during the years that you and I were growing up. They're now functioning sober musicians. Or what?
Or they're dead.
Or they're dead. A lot of them overdosed, of course. Or there's those that are helping up and coming musicians get sober. You hear about it, you read about it, but that doesn't mean, so-and-so has been noticed from this band is now in treatment. Don't mock it. Don't put it down. Be thankful for that person that has wanted to get help. And then they come back even stronger, or their career shifts again, or they get another level of success, or they get married.
People would be stunned if they knew how many musicians were sober.
Oh, yeah. They would. If I don't think we're allowed to break anonymity.
If they're not sober, they don't have a problem. You can't be a 70-year-old musician and not either be in recovery or not have it run your life.
Not the major ones today, no. And I know quite a few that you have mentioned and that I have met and whatever, but it doesn't even matter if you're a musician. You can be a trash collector, you can be a school teacher, you can be a mom. It doesn't matter who or what you do, people. It's how the drugs, alcohol, food, porn, shopping, gambling.
Oh, and by the way, gambling.
I just mentioned, yeah, whatever it is that we're drawn to, there's a way to stop and surrender.
The outcome.
A friend of mine's father, who I knew in early sobriety, committed suicide about 20 years ago. He was $1 million in debt from gambling. He could never see a way out, and he took his life. And she ended up having to pay for all that.
They have the highest rate of suicide.
Because money really plays with our head.
Well, because your luck runs out.
Or there's 12-step programs for the gambler, but most people don't.
And there are 3 or 4 really exceptional. Alchemy House is one of them. And
to treat the gambler?
That do nothing. Do they have sober companions for gambling? Absolutely.
The sober companions, as we're winding up the show, we've only got a few minutes left, will help the addicted person, regardless if it's food.
Let's just say the
recovery. Because we're all recovering from something, which is the tagline of the show, because we all have some shtick. We've all got some issue, some ism, I, self, me. Give me. Quick fix. But if that companion has been there, done that, they relate. Then they will help guide you. Like, no, you don't need that. Or like Candy was saying, if she had to get up with the girl with the corn nuts and get her out of the shower and stop eating or whatever, somebody will help you not take that action when you want to stay sober.
And teach you how to live in recovery, not get recovery, but live it.
That's what I was explaining earlier, because it's a shift in our consciousness and our vulnerability and our emotions. It's different.
You and I both know it's tough.
It is tough. But eventually the road gets easier or narrower, which is what we talked about. I think you were off there, but I did talk about the road gets narrower. The stronger you become, or what they say, the more you depend on God, the stronger you become as an individual. The more you're here and the more you practice your sobriety and you understand there's nothing to fear. You just get to be whole.
The road gets narrower, but at least you know where you're going.
Yeah, and you don't take crap anymore, and you get out of the drama quicker.
Yeah.
Get out of what doesn't work, or the people who are toxic, or the people that are abusive. You just learn to figure out what's right for you to keep you on your journey. Right, Candy Finnegan?
Right, Linda Salvin.
And if they want to catch you off the air for some help, where do they reach you?
They can reach me at Candy Finnegan at AOL.com. And I actually have a Finnegan intervention one, but I don't remember the password.
We'll get it together. We'll get it up there. And I'm Dr. Linda Salvin, and we will be back next Wednesday with another wonderful topic. We don't know what it is yet because we always figure it out later. And if you have a topic that you would like us to cover on the Recovery Wednesday show, since we're all recovering from something, send me a message at drlinda@lindasalvin.com, and I'll talk it over with Candy, and we'll bring it on the air and get into it.
Yep. And we're really tickled you joined us.
Thank you so much. That's the end of the show today, everybody. We hope to see you again soon. Thanks for all your texts and questions. And remember, we're all recovering from something, and there is a solution. Bye-bye. Hang in there, Kate.
Thanks for joining us. We hope you enjoyed Recovery Wednesday. You can reach Dr. Linda at 888-509-1077 or at lindasalvin.com. And Candy Finnegan at candyfinnegan@aol.com. Need a breakthrough of your own? Ready for answers or insights nobody else has? Reserve your own one-on-one in-person chat. Dr. Linda isn't just for other people. Dr. Linda gets results for you. And it's easy. Contact details are on screen now. Just click on lindasalvin.com or call toll-free 888-509-1077. That's lindasalvin.com or toll-free at 888-509-1077.